So we've approached this social network in a different way. We've tried to say, look, there are certain, the thing about social networks that we think is interesting, or corporate social applications, is they amplify behaviors, right? So the Facebook folks will tell you, look, it's not like people didn't share pictures or try and look up their old friends or like organize events before we showed up. We just made it like really frictionless, right? Economic theory would predict that would be a good, successful thing, and I think that's what's happened. So we said, well, we've tried to attack this performance management process, which is exactly this thing, which is, literally pre-knowledge worker, 100 years, 50 years old, very batchy. Once a year, we're going to tell people how they're doing. We'll shut the company down. Everyone writes essays about each other. And it's universally hated. Everyone doesn't like this thing. So what we tried to say was, well, what are the behaviors that people engage in? So we try to build apps that help it, like around coaching, feedback, goal setting, recognition. But what's interesting is when we come to deal with companies, one of the biggest things they say, well, so first is, how do we get people more feedback quicker? Because the goal is not to have a form at the end of the year. The goal is to get people to learn faster because we want them to get better. Like, you don't want your salespeople to hear 6 months later they need better client skills. You want them to learn 2 weeks after the fact, like, stop interrupting clients. It bothers them, right? So they can sell more deals, right? But on the other number one thing they want to know about is who's actually having impact in the company. And I think that one of the companies that are getting it, like that we hear all the time, is they deeply distrust this idea of the hero leader, the hero manager who has information that they will review once a year on this employee. And they'll say, this is who's good and this is who's bad. And I'll bring back to the hierarchy questions. They'll say, how is it possible that one manager could have all the information, right? I think the Facebook folks got this deeply. Like, I think all the way up that organization, they understood that many eyes, right? Many views have much better information and can come up with a better aggregate insight into who's really contributing, right? And often you find this is that like a manager say, oh, this person does nothing. They never deliverable anything. Well, the reason they're not delivering is because what you've asked them to do is really useless as a manager, but what they're really doing is helping everybody else succeed. Now, do you want to fire them or do you want to promote them? And by the way, oftentimes, to the point about power hierarchies, HR people will sometimes say, they'll say, well, this is a real problem because there's going to be a disconnect between, this person's going to think they're really valuable and their manager, that's the person who really counts. And I often say, isn't that a symptom of a much deeper problem that you've got going on? So I think people are working through it.